This is a KMVT sports presentation.
The WCAL St. Francis champions, St. Francis Lancers, look to add to their trophy case today as they begin the CCS playoffs against the Milpitas Trojans. The Trojans enter play with a record of 9-9 in Santa Clara Valley De Anza Division play. They take on the Lancers, who won the WCAL postseason tournament after completing an 8-4 league season. The Lancers enter play at 23-7 today. I'm George Devine, glad to have you with us on KMVT this afternoon. We're at St. Francis High School's Higgins Field in Mountain View, where the Lancers are hosting this odd first-round game. This game was originally scheduled for last night at Santa Clara's Washington Park, but because of the weather, the CCS rescheduled all of the Thursday games to home sites of participating schools here on Friday afternoon. Milpitas, under the direction of head coach Bob Sharp, comes in looking like this today. Daniel Landa leads off, plays shortstop. Josh Wells, the right center fielder, make it the left fielder, bats in the number 2 spot. Isaiah Jacob bats number 3 in the number 3 spot. He does the pitching, the right-hander coming in with a .333 average in the batter's box. Jeremiah Jacob, his twin brother, plays shortstop, plays second base, and bats in the number 4 spot. Anthony Munoz, the catcher, bats 5th. Brian Soria, the right fielder, bats 6th. Jeremy Marshall, the third baseman, bats 7th. Ruben Ortiz bats in the number 8 spot and plays center field. And David Guy, the first baseman, will be the 9th Milpitas batter to face Elliot Wheeler, who you see right there. Elliot comes in with a record of 5-2, a 2.23 ERA for the left-hander. The defense behind him looks like this. Brian Clark is in left field, Andrew Watt in center, John Higgins in right, Robbie Poole at shortstop, John Gall at second base. Matt McGuire and Steve Correa play the corners on the infield. Brian Osorio does the catching for the Lancers, and we're about set to go on this very gray May afternoon. Feels very much like early February out here, to tell you the truth. Very unusual weather system has made its presence known in the Bay Area the last couple of days. The field out here at St. Francis, in order to get it ready today, a lot of work put in by the grounds crew, so all of us here very grateful to the St. Francis ground staff. This is where the Santa Clara Valley De Anza Division, Wilcox, the top seed in the Division I tournament, finishing at 18-5, 14-4 into the division. Then Monte Vista and Milpitas, followed by Los Gatos, Palo Alto, Fremont, and Santa Clara. St. Francis was the third-place team in the WCAL regular season, but used victories over Bellarmine, Mitty, and Reardon in the league tournament in inverse order to win the league tournament. So you see Bellarmine with the top regular season record 8-4, followed by Mitty, St. Francis. Serra also qualified for the CCS playoffs, the second division of St. Ignatius, Reardon, and Sacred Heart. So we're about set to go here at Higgins Field. Steve Perez gets ready to call the balls and strikes behind the plate. Jim Nunn, his partner on the base paths. So as the Lancers make their final meeting before Wheeler throws his first pitch, we're about set and ready to go. The winner of this game is scheduled tomorrow at 4 o'clock to play the winner of the Piedmont Hills Salinas game. That game being played in East San Jose today.
Batting first for Sarah.
This game today features the 12-seeded Milpitas Trojans and the 5-seeded, or the 5th-seeded, St. Francis Lancers. Piedmont Hills is the 4-seed, Salinas the number 13 seed. So Elliot Wheeler getting a tongue depressor to keep his cleats clean today. On a wet afternoon, they will let the pitcher keep a tongue depressor out there, and he surely needs it, taking a look at his spikes. So a day for the Mudders here at Higgins Field. Daniel Landa, Josh Wells, Isaiah Jacob, the top 3 spots in the lineup due here in the first. Jeremiah Jacob, Anthony Munoz, Brian Soria, Jeremiah Marshall, Ruben Ortiz, and David Guy. the balance of the Milpitas order. Wheeler's first pitch, fastball. This is on the inside corner, and it's 1-0. Landa comes in batting .421. He's driven in 6 runs this season. And that, according to Steve Perez, hit Daniel Landa. So Wheeler, on 2 pitches, surrenders first base. And that'll bring to the plate Josh Wells. Really hard to see how that hit Landa.
Number 20, left fielder,
We'll take another look right here. I guess it hit his lead arm right there, his left arm, as he lifted the bat up. So Wells bats, .211 average at the plate. Landa away from first and a strike up high. It's 0-1. Isaiah Jakob on deck. Lancer infield at double play depth. McGuire a step onto the grass at third. Foul back, and it's 0-2. So Elliott Wheeler, after being stunned by the hit batsman call, has gotten ahead of Wells 0-2. And he'll look to put the senior left fielder onto his heels with an 0-2 delivery. Fastball swung on and missed. Wheeler rings up his first Trojan of the day. That'll bring Isaiah Jakob to the plate. Isaiah batting .333 on the year with 12 runs batted in. Got a big frame up there in the batter's box. Chance to help his own cause here on the top of the first. Nothing across, 1 down in the Milpitas half of the first and a runner at first. Wheeler is ready, Osorio sets up. It's called strike inside corner. It's 0-1. Isaiah's brother Jeremiah standing in the on-deck circle. Wheeler's 0-1. Swung on, hit into left field. It'll fall for a base hit. Into second base goes Landa, and into first with a single goes Jakob. That'll bring to the plate the cleanup batter as we take a look right here. Just a nice soft blooper. Not deep enough for Brian Clark to handle and too deep for Robbie Poole to handle from short. Jeremiah Jakob with a .378 average has driven in a team high 17 runs. So Wheeler will face his first left-handed batter of the day. Throw back to second, not in time. So Wheeler trying to keep Landa anchored to the bag. McGuire off the grass at third. Called strike outside corner. It's 0-1. Correa is standing off the bag at first against the left-handed batter. So no one home to keep Isaiah Jakob honest over at first. The 0-1 to his brother Jeremiah, swung on and missed. Osorio retrieves the loose ball. Nobody goes anywhere, and it's 0-2. So Wheeler, strike away from his second K of the day. In a bit of a jam here with 1 down in the first, 2 aboard. The 0-2, swung on, missed. And 2 strikeouts now for Elliott Wheeler. Jeremiah Jakob back to the bench, and Anthony Munoz, the Milpitas catcher,
now
to the plate.
The catcher, number 11, Anthony Munoz.
Munoz batting .321 with 12 runs batted in. Pops that one back into the parking lot. It's 0-1. So Wheeler, after starting out getting behind Lando 1-0 and then hitting the batter on the 1-0 fastball, has thrown nothing but strikes since. He got Wells swinging on 3 pitches. Then he got Jakob to swing and single. 1-0, an 0-1 strike. Foul towards the Milpitas dugout, and the count goes to 0-2 on Munoz. Then Jeremiah Jakob went down swinging on 3. And now Munoz down in the count 0-2. So Wheeler a strike away from getting out of a 2 runners on jam. Swung on and missed. Wheeler strikes out 3. Milpitas comes up with a hit. They strand 2 in the top of the first. And after a half inning, Milpitas nothing as St. Francis coming to bat. Speaking of the Lancers coming to bat, let's take a look at their batting order. Andrew Watt, the center fielder, leads it off. Elliot Wheeler, the pitcher, bats second. John Gall, today at second base, bats in the number 3 spot. John batting at a very nice .505 average entering play today. Brian Osorio, the catcher, in the cleanup spot, followed by Steve Correa, the first baseman. Jason Luker, the DH today, for Matt McGuire over at third base. Brian Clark bats in the number 7 spot. Robbie Poole in the number 8 spot. And then John Haggins bats in the number 9 spot. So Watt, Wheeler, Gall, Osorio, Correa, Luker, Clark, Poole, and Haggins for the Lancers. Take a look right there at Isaiah Jakob. He's pitched in 50 innings so far this year, striking out 37, an ERA of 1.12, and a record of 4-4. Behind him, a defense of Josh Wells in left, Ruben Ortiz in center, Brian Soria in right, Jeremy Marshall on the hot corner at third, Daniel Landed short, his brother Jeremiah Jakob at second base, David Guy at first, and Anthony Munoz, the fellow with the Football Hall of Famer name behind the plate. So the Lancers will try to get on the board here in their half of the first inning. Take a look right there at Andrew Watt loosening up in the on-deck circle. Andrew already committed this year to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, where he'll be joined by teammates David Watts and Brian Osorio. Also WCAL colleague Brian Casanego from St. Ignatius will be playing for Cal Poly next year as freshmen. So the Lancers are defending CCS champions, knowing they've got to win 4 ball games starting here today to repeat and pick up their 5th baseball title in school history. So the right-handed batting Watt stands in. He hits at a .337 clip this year. Has 3 home runs. He had 1 the last time on KMVT against Reardon. Pitch in the dirt, and it's 1-0. That was significant because Reardon had scored 4 times in the top half of the first inning. He got the Lancers on the board in the bottom half of the first in the first round of the WCAL playoffs. Pitch up at the eyebrows, misses. It's 2-0. If you're Isaac Jakob and Bob Sharp, the Milpitas head coach, you want to keep Watt off the base paths. He's stolen 18 of 21 this year. Shows bunt and takes inside for a strike. It's 2-1. Jeremy Marshall playing a step off the grass at third. Now comes in. The 2-1 misses outside. The count goes to 3-1. So Isaiah Jakob in an early hole here against Watt. Tough hitter to face on a 3-1 count. And it's up high, and Watt walks down at first.
Now batting for St. Francis, the pitcher, number 19, Elliot Wheeler.
So Elliot Wheeler, who worked out of a jam in the top half of the first inning, has the table set for him here in the bottom half. Elliot batting .324, 27 hits and 102 plate appearances, or I should say at bats this year. He's driven in 26 runs. Very nice total for your number 2 hitter in the lineup this time in the year. Considering the Lancers come in playing 31 games, Wheeler with 26 RBI, 5 short of an RBI per outing for the left-handed senior. Takes a strike on the outside corner. It's 0-1. In fact, Wheeler this year, looking at his stats, has hits in 23 of the 30 games he's appeared in for the Lancers. He waits on the 0-1. Upstairs, and that evens the count. But the Lancers, the real murderer's row in that top of the lineup. Talk more about that as the day goes on. Throw over to first, not in time. Wheeler with 26 runs batted in. Gall, who bounced behind him with 32. Osorio with 25. Then Correa and Luker with 18 and 20 respectively. Runner goes. Throw down a second is not in time. Count goes to 2-1 on Wheeler as he stayed away from the fastball outside. So the Lance with a runner in scoring position. Big opportunity right here. A 2-1 count to the left-handed batting Wheeler. Watt away from second after the stolen base. Popped up, but foul. That evens the count at 2-2. Watt collecting his 19th stolen base in his 22nd attempt. It's exactly what you want your leadoff man to do. He's turned a walk right now into a double and looking for more. Wheeler awaiting the 2-2. Watt in the game of cat and mouse. Gets Jakob to look, but goes back on his own volition. Yeah, Jakob ready for the 2-2. Quick check of the runner. And Wheeler hits that one to first base. David Guy handles to the bag. Watt goes to third safely. And so Wheeler moves the runner over and sets the table for John Gall.
Second baseman, number 3, John Gall.
So Elliott Wheeler right there with a nice piece of hitting. Just enough to move the runner over in the early innings. It's all you want to do, especially in a 0-0 game, is get the runner a little deeper into scoring position. And John Gall stands in. First pitch misses outside. It's 1-0 to Gall. Gall, as I mentioned, with 32 RBI on the year. That's a team high. He also has a club high 19 doubles and the aforementioned 505 club. He grounds this one to third. Marshall looks the runner back, throws on to first, and there are 2 away. So a nice defensive job right there by Marshall. There are now 2 away. Watt staying at third, and Brian Osorio stepping in. So after Watt walked to lead off the inning, Wheeler hit one to first base, and then Gall hit one to third. So outs to both of the corners. Now Osorio stares at a 1-0 count. Osorio, another member of that murderer's row fraternity, batting .425, 25 runs batted in on the year. The 1-0 taken inside for a called strike. It's 1-1. Steve Correa standing the on-deck circle. Osorio with 2 home runs this year, a total of 7 extra base hits, 4 doubles and a triple on his totals this year. Looks at a breaking ball outside. It's 2-1. But Osorio's been hitting well ever since the Lancers went south to the Dole Classic in Anaheim. Made all tournament down there. And he waits on an off-speed pitch, and the count goes to 3-1. Very good eye displayed by Osorio right there in the batter's box. So Jakob trying to get out of a jam of his own. Deals to Osorio, gets Brian to swing and miss, and the count goes full. Osorio was looking to go the route that time. But Jakob had other things on his mind as he put some movement on the fastball. And Osorio looks at a full count. Swung on, and did he go? Yes, he did. So Osorio down on strikes. The Lancers waste the walk by Watt. He's stranded on the base paths after 1 full, 0-0. Brian Soria, Jeremy Marshall, and Ruben Ortiz doing the Milpitas second, the 6 through 8 spots in the Trojan order. While we have this opportunity, we'd like to run down the rest of the schedule in Division I baseball. As we mentioned earlier, Salinas with a 14-8 record taking on 20-5 Piedmont Hills. Then Serra plays Live Oak down at Morgan Hill. Battle of 16-10 versus 15-11. Overfelt, the number 16 seed, is over at Wilcox. They battle the Chargers over on Monroe Street in Santa Clara. That game also got underway at 3 p.m. And the first pitch to Soria in the dirt for a ball from Wheeler. Then Hollister with a 14-11 mark, the 14 seed, taking on number 3 Leland. That's also a 3 p.m. start. Homestead traveling over to Mitty. Battle of 10 versus 7 in this section. Looper towards short. Up with it is Poole over to first. There's one away. Poole with a nice job right there, handling it on 3 hops. That'll bring to the plate Jeremy Marshall. Then Bellarmine traveling down to South San Jose today, taking on Santa Teresa. That game got underway at 1 p.m. And then, of course, our game here, Milpitas and St. Francis. The battle of the 12 versus the 5 seed. This time a chopper towards second. Gall up with it over to Correa, 2 away. So Jeremy Marshall goes on the first pitch after Brian Soria had a 1-0 breaking ball to third base.
Coming up to bat, number 9.
Should say to short, so a 6-3 and a 4-3 put out. The story so far of the Milpitas second inning. So Ruben Ortiz stands in, batting $1.78 on the year. Trying to improve that mark here against Wheeler. See the pitch that just misses at the knees, and it's 1-0. Wheeler was trying to get that ball to drop. It just dropped too soon. This time he finds the strike zone and evens the count at 1-1. Wheeler's fastball is pretty accurate. When he starts to throw the off-speed stuff, he's either very accurate or very inaccurate. This one skied towards center. Watt is there. He'll make the catch and retire the side. Nothing across from Milpitas in their half of the second, and through 1.5. Nothing.
Milpitas completes 2 with no runs, no hits, no air baseman.
Some of the students here at St. Francis High School enjoying Central Coast Section Division I baseball playoff action. Steve Correa leading off the second inning, fouls the first pitch batch, gets 0-1. He'll be followed by Jason Luker and Brian Clark. The 5 through 7 section of the Lancer lineup. Correa, 6'6", 235-pound sophomore, yet to go the route this year. Carries a 372 average. That one bounces off the plate and back into the crowd. So Louis Tion does live. Louis Tion, of course, the man with disputed birthdays, or the ageless wonder as he was once called, famous for that ephus pitch. Grounder towards second. Jeremiah Jakob handles over to first. There's one away. But that pitch by Isaiah Jakob was like a bounce pass in basketball. Went off the plate and really went awry. Was caught by a fan about 3 rows back in the 10-row bleachers here at St. Francis.
Now batting the DH, number 24, Jason Luker.
Jason Luker, the designated hitter, stands in. Luker carrying a 348 average with 3 home runs and 20 RBI this year. You got to figure on a cold, wet day like this, it's going to favor the pitchers. Wind is blowing in right now, as you see. The jacket tails of Steve Perez, the home plate umpire, whistling in the wind. Actually, whistling isn't a good word, it's more like whipping. About a 20 knot, 25 knot gust going across Higgins Field right now. And a called strike down at the knees. And Luker stares at no 2 mark. But despite all the work on the infield and on the batter's box area, it's still rather muddy out there. Pitch upstairs misses, and it's 1-2. Sometimes when you haven't had rain in a few weeks and the infield's rather dry and sitting in the sun, it gets hard and it becomes almost like concrete. You can bounce the ball off of it. Well, today it's a very wet track. This one's hit right to Jeremiah Jakob, who holds on for the out. 2 away. Jakob with a nice stab right there.
Now batting the left fielder, number 23, Brian Clark.
And his brother Isaiah, as we watch right here on the replay, thankful for that effort. Nice job by Jeremiah Jakob of climbing the ladder at second. Pitch up at the numbers to Brian Clark, and the count is 1-0. Now last week when we had the Reardon-St. Francis game, the wind was blowing out. And we saw 3 home runs in the first 2 innings of play. Today it's blowing in. Pitch inside evens the count 1-1. But taking sort of a speculative mode right here, I'd have to say that we're probably not going to see that kind of power production today unless the weather changes a bit. The 1-1 from Jakob, swung on and missed. And the count drops for Clark to 1-2. Jakob looks in, the 1-2. Swung on and missed. He's retired 5 straight, and the Lancers in order in the second. And through 2, 0-0.
The Lancers in 2 with no runs, no hits.
So some fans braving the elements here at Higgins Field on the St. Francis campus. They're glad to be here as we take a look at Bob Sharp, the Milpitas head coach. Bob with a lot to be proud of. His nephew, Jason Kendall, a rookie catcher this year for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Bob very excited that his nephew, who hails from Southern California, making it to the show this season. His number 9 hitter, David Guy, stands in, batting $1.33. And the first pitch is taken inside for a called strike. It's 0-1. Got to be followed by Landa and Wells, the 9, 1, and 2 spots in the order. The 0-1 fouled off of the leg, and it's 0-2. See the dirt around home plate right there, and you see how wet it is, or how wet it has been. The grounds crew, as I mentioned earlier, doing a great job getting this field ready. They had 4 or 5 men out there with tractors and rakes and turfus and absorbent and everything else. And this thing looks great. 1-2 the count. Sort of another side story. The St. Francis baseball program figured that they would not be playing any more home games this year. And they took down the temporary left field fence. So on a day's notice, they had the left field fence back up, and they had to get the field ready after a lot of downpour yesterday. Fouled off down the right side. The count stays 2-2. So one of those old Murphy's Laws cliches, or a Yogi Berra cliche, it ain't over till it's over. Well, you take the fence down, you might end up hosting another game. So Guy awaits on 2-2. Wheeler's pitch, a fastball that misses outside, and the count goes full. This one's fouled off behind the Milpitas dugout, and Guy stays alive. But just speculating, talking about the weather. On the drive down from San Francisco today, not exactly ideal conditions. Be interesting to see how many games the CCS is able to get in today for both Division I and Division II baseball and 3 divisions of softball. Wheeler on 3-2. And it's grounded short. Poole up with it. Over to first, 1 down. So Wheeler's gotten the last 4 on infield putouts. I should say 3 of the last 4 on infield putouts. 1 away in the 3rd. That'll bring Daniel Landa to the plate. Landa, his first time up, was nipped by a 1-0 pitch inside. Then went to second on the Isaiah Jakob single, and was stranded there as he watched Jeremiah Jakob and Anthony Munoz get fanned. He crouches down and takes a strike low. It's 0-1. But you hope, for the sake of being a high school baseball fan, they're able to get all these games in. Just a matter of how well the different fields around the section drain, and how they do with the luck of the many microclimates of the Bay Area. Pitch upstairs. The count is 2-1. On deck, Josh Wells. Chopped back. Wheeler can't handle it. Stopping it is Gall. He throws wide of the bag at first. And going down in a heap is Daniel Landa. Daniel Landa not looking very well over there at first. You might have heard in the background as we watch the replay, you're going to see a tough handle right here for Gall after Wheeler misfires. And then Gall totally misfires right there. Correa had to hit the deck. And Land is shaking off whatever happened to him. So he's on after the infield hit.
Now batting left fielder number 20, Josh Wells.
That ball was not designed for any of the Lancers to handle it out there. And now taking a little more time to stretch out is Daniel Landa. He's taking a sprint as he retreats, but he sprinted down towards the right field corner just to make sure everything's there, sort of doing an inventory. So he's on for the second time today. But he's going to be hitting that ice bag tonight. He's been hit by a pitch, and then he hurt his wheels right there going to first. That misses upstairs. It's 1-0 with Isaiah Jakob on deck. Josh Wells, his last time up, swung at an 0-2 fastball from Wheeler in the first. Identical situation with Landa at first. Pitch in the dirt. Runner goes to second on the wild pitch. So Wheeler behind 2-0 to Wells. And Elliott trying to find the strike zone right here. One down in the second, 0-0 the score. Runner at second for Milpitas. Milpitas with 2 hits so far. He shows bunt, strike down low. Runner goes to third unopposed. The Lancers were caught not guarding the henhouse right there because Matt McGuire, who's recently promoted from the junior varsity, came in to cover the bunt. Nobody went to cover third. Brian Osorio, who has a good arm but a better eye, looked down at third, saw no one was home, and didn't offer a throw. So somebody asleep on the Lancer infield. So the 2-1 pitch on its way, swung and missed. And the count evens at 2-2. That's a situation right there where it's Robbie Poole's job from shortstop on the bunt to come over and cover third against the runner advancing. Poole stayed like a statue in deep short. McGuire had nowhere to go. Chopper towards first. Correa loses the handle and a run will score. So the bounce is hurting the Lancers here in the top half of the third as Daniel Landa comes around to score.
Now batting the pitcher, number 21, Isaiah Jakob.
Take another look right here. You see Correa with it, and then it got past John Gall as well. So on the error, the run comes home. So 1-0 Milpitas. And Isaiah Jakob takes a strike inside. It's 0-1. So the Trojans are first on the board here today at Higgins Field. Talk about a couple of key defensive breakdowns right there. This one is well hit to left. Watt's got a long way to run. Will he corral it? Yes, he does. Going back to first is Josh Wells. He had taken off 3/4 of the way to second and had no place to go. So a big 2-out catch by Watt right there. We'll take another look. This well-hit ball, Watt had a long way to go. And he hauls it in back near the 375 mark. That'll bring Jeremiah Jakob to the plate. He was the first of, I should say the second of 3 strikeout victims in the first inning and in the game for Elliott Wheeler. called strike. And Jakob looks down to his father, filling the first base box for encouragement. A ball on the outside. And the count is 2-1 to Jeremiah Jakob. Anthony Munoz, the catcher, waits on deck. 2 down here in the Milpitas second, 1 already across and 1 still on. Runner goes, swung on towards third. McGuire up with it, over to first. Correa has it, and the side is taken care of for Milpitas, but not before the Trojans come up with 1 run on 1 hit and a key Lancer error. They also strand 1, and through 2.5, it's 1-0 Trojans. Well, the jackets and the hats and the hooded sweatshirts tell you it's a rather chilly afternoon here at Higgins Field. Robbie Poole, John Higgins, and Andrew Watt will bat in the 3rd inning for the Lancers. Try to come back after the Lancers gave up a run in the top half of the inning. Trail 1-0. First pitch misses outside to Poole. It's 1-0. But after the heat wave we had a couple weeks ago in this area, one would not expect the weather to turn like this, but it has, so you just got to deal with it. Pitch outside, the count elevates to 2-0. Poole with a .352 average has hit 5 doubles this year and driven in 14 runs. Poole has actually been in several spots in the Lancer lineup. He shows bunt, misses up high, it's 3-0. So Poole awaiting the 3-0 from Jakob. And it hits him. He tried to get out of the way of that one, but despite turning like a barbershop pole, he still couldn't avoid it. So now a hit batsman for each side. Take another look right here. Not much you can do right there. So Isaiah Jakob gets his money's worth, hitting the batter. John Hagan stands in. John's only been up to the plate in 22 official at-bats this year, batting .227, looking to collect his 6th hit. Yet to have an extra base hit this season. Driven in a pair of runs. Stares at a strike. And now calls time as he walks over to have a word with Chris Bradford in the 3rd base coach's box. Chris with the jacket on today. You see the line score behind you up there. Nobody scored until Milpitas did in the top of the 3rd. So Poole away from first as Hagan steps back in. He shows bunt. Now he looks down for some more signs from Chris Bradford. So Chris trying to run the table right here and get a run in the bottom half of the 2nd, the 3rd. Bunt attempt is fouled off. And the count is 2-1 to John Higgins. So Andrew Watt awaiting the on-deck circle. Higgins now will have to swing the bat. Looks at a ball upside, and it's 3-1. I said he has to swing the bat because he wasn't having much luck with the bunt attempts. So he could bunt on a 1-strike count and still stay alive. He swings instead, grounds it towards Shirt. Landa up with it to second for 1 to first. Double play. So the Trojans go Landa, Jeremiah Jakob, David Guy, and Poole and Higgins taken care of in the 3rd. Take another look right here. how the 6-4-3 is
Bottom of the
turned.
third for the St. Francis Lancers. They get no run off no hit.
So now 2 away. So 6-4 to get Poole at second. And then Hagan 6-4-3 to close the double play. And now Andrew Watt batting with the bases empty. And 2 away. Takes a strike in the knees, it's 0-1. Andrew walked after working the count to 3-1 in his first time up. Made it as far as third base, and he watched Brian Osorio go down on strikes to end the inning. That misses outside. The count even at 1-1. Elliott Wheeler on deck. Wind blowing in on Watt. That's in the dirt, and the count goes to 2-1. Watt this season has struck out 27 times and walked 24. That's upstairs, and it's 3-1. So he's already walked once today. Last time he looked at 3-1, he took a 90-foot stroll down to first. And in a position to do so here again in the third. Upstairs, in a repeat performance of the first inning, Watt draws the walk. Elliott Wheeler, who hit one to David Guy at first. Just a very gentle roller down to the first base bag, which was enough to enable Watt to go from second to third. And the first inning stands. And this time, Elliott's going to have to put it into the outfield. Sacrifice or an infield ground out will not do the job in this situation. Shows bunt, Watt goes to second, throw is down there, and not in time. Nice slide by Watt. And Chris Bradford with aggressive management on the base paths moves Watt into scoring position. So 1-0 the count to Wheeler. The Lancers in very much the same situation they were in the first, except this time 2 away. Wheeler waits on a breaking ball that misses high. It's 2-0. Wheeler has a good eye in the batter's box. He doesn't swing at too much garbage. And whatever Chris Bradford and staff ask him to do, he's willing to try. This year we've seen him hit 3 home runs. He's driven in 26 runs, but he's also a very good bunter as well. Big hole between first and second, swung on and missed, and the count is 2-1. Against the left-handed batting Wheeler, David Guy anchored almost as if he had a runner at first. Because it's a runner at second, Jeremiah Jakob playing close to the bag there. Now, Jakob goes over behind the bag. They try to affect the backdoor play. Called strike outside corner, and the count evens at 2-2. But Wheeler with a lot of room to work with on the right side of the infield. This one's hit towards second base. Jakob loses the handle, throws over to first, and the side is retired. The Lancers strand 1 here in the bottom of the third, and after 3, they trail 1-0. Top of the fourth, about to get their way here at Higgins Field. George Devine, along with our producer and director, Lazarus Sargenitas. No, I'm not one of the young ladies out there in the crowd, but I am here. Anthony Munoz, Brian Soria, and Jeremy Marshall to bat here in the 4th inning for Milpitas, the 5, 6, and 7 third. Chopper to McGuire at third. He picks it up on 3 hops, throws over to first, 1 away. So Matt McGuire getting some work so far today. He handled the chopper to close the last inning, does so again here to open the 4th. The sophomore getting called up to the varsity as we see him standing right there out of St. Cyprian Grammar School here in Mountain View. Also played varsity basketball for Steve Filios. Brian Soria granted to Poole at third his first time. Stays away from a high breaking pitch. It's 1-0. Matt's dad's out here watching him today. Wheeler misses high up again, and it's 2-0. But Matt, an important part of the plans for the basketball and baseball programs next couple years here on Miramonte Avenue. 3-0, the count goes to Soria. Wheeler losing track of the strike zone. Now deals on 3-0. That catches the corner inside, it's 3-1. Wheeler did a nice job fooling Soria right there. Painted the trim on the inside corner. Now he deals on a 3-1 count. That's foul back and the count is full. Just remarking between innings that in the 30-plus years they've had Major League Baseball in the Bay Area, this one is lofted into right field, but into the glove of John Higgins for the out. 2 away here in the Milpitas 4th. Just remarking between the break of it on the innings here that since 1958, which would be, I believe, 30, it would now be 38 seasons of Major League Baseball, there have only been 39 rainouts between the Giants and the A's. Called strike inside Jeremy Marshall. It's 0-1. The Giants have been in California since 58, the A's since 68, and between them only 39 rainouts. For those of you who keep score of those things at home, that's 23 at Candlestick and Seal Stadium and 17 at the Oakland Coliseum, including Wednesday's rainout against Baltimore. Again, lofted toward Higgins, and again Higgins makes the catch. 1, 2, 3 in the 4th go the Milpitas Trojans. They lead after 3.5, 1-0.
Milpitas has 4 with no runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left on base. Now batting the second baseman.
Some fans enjoying the view up high here at Higgins Field, looking for their Lancers to come up with the equalizer here in the bottom of the 4th. The only run scored today by Milpitas in the top of the 3rd. And leading off the 4th is John Gall. He works a 1-0 count. He'll be followed by Brian Osorio and Steve Correa. So a right-hander in the 3 spot, a right-hander in the 4 spot, and then the lefty, Correa, in the 5 spot. Pitch upstairs misses. It's 2-0 to Gall. Gall, his last time up, grounded on 2 bounces to 3rd to Jeremy Marshall. Looking for his first hit of the day. Came in hitting just over 500 at 505. Had a great season, Stanford-bound product. Hits this one off of the glove of Guy at first. Can he recover? No, he can't. And aboard with the infield hit is Gall. That was a hard hit ball, and Guy couldn't recover on that. So a single for John Gall. We'll watch again. See it right here. It's knocked down by Guy. You got to go all the way behind the bag. Jakob was late coming over. And now Brian Osorio with the table set for him. The Lancers with their first hit of the day. So Isaiah Jakob going 3 full innings of hitless baseball. And that comes inside on Osorio and paints the corner. It's 0-1. That's the first hit of the day for the brown and gold of St. Francis. The 0-1 up at the visor, 1-1. Talking about hitters, and Osorio, a good one. Came in today batting .425. It was on this date in baseball history in 1925 that Trish Spraker hit his 3,000th hit off of Tom Zachary in a 2-1 loss to the Washington Senators. Spraker playing for the Cleveland Indians at the time. Then in 1970, Henry Aaron accomplished the same feat in the second game of a doubleheader against Cincinnati and their pitcher Wayne Simpson. Hard hit towards short. Landa second for 1 over to first, double play. So the Landa-Jakob-Guy combination works again for Milpitas. And Chris Bradford over there in the third base coach's box wondering what he can do to get a runner past second base. So 6-4-3 again. And if you say deja vu all over again, well, it's a pretty apt expression because it's the same way the Lancers started out the third inning. Swung on and missed by Correa. He was showing the downtown cut right there. 0-1. In the third, Robbie Poole walked. He was retired on the front end of a 6-4-3. And then John Hagens hit one to Landa, who turned the number. Then it was Gall and Osorio going that way here in the fourth. Pitch upstairs evens the count to Correa. On deck, Jason Luker. Correa, his last time up, grounded out to second. Jakob handling it there, the first out in the second inning. The 1-1 outside, and it's 2-1. It was also on this date in baseball history. We talked about the no-hitter for Jakob going into the fourth inning before it was broken up by Gall. Don Notbart of the Houston Colt 45s pitched that franchise's first no-hitter at the old temporary Colt Stadium, a 4-1 victory over the Philadelphia Phillies. Count 3-1 on Correa. That was a 4-1 tally, so an unearned run. Possibly an earned run, but it didn't come home on a hit. This one's hit hard into the glove of Jakob at second, and a busy inning for the Milpitas infield, and another fruitless try at the plate for St. Francis. We're through 4, 1-0 Milpitas.
One hit, no errors, with nobody left off.
Milpitas in the fifth inning will send Ruben Ortiz, David Guy, and Daniel Landa to the plate. Ortiz, his last time up, flying out to his opposite number, Andrew Watt in center field to close the books in the second inning. That was the last time he was batting against Wheeler. Called strike right there on the attempted bunt. It's 0-1. Wheeler's put the side down twice in order, once in the second and once in the fourth. He's been touched for trouble in the first, but Milpitas didn't bring anybody across. McGuire handles it at third, over to first, one away. So Matt McGuire, with an impressive afternoon, has come in onto the grass 3 times today and had 3 assists. One away in the Milpitas fifth. That'll bring David Guy to the plate. Wheeler hasn't struck anybody out. That was one of Elliott's trademarks since the first inning. Called strike right there to Guy. It's 0-1. You see the line score right there, 1-2-0 for Milpitas, 0-1-1 for St. Francis. Fouled off, wide of the right field line. It's 0-2. Guy worked the count his last time up, leading off the third before grounding out to shortstop and Robbie Poole. That was when Milpitas came up with their 1 run. Daniel Landa singled with 1 out. Then Josh Wells was up. Landa went on a wild pitch to second base and then stole third when Wells showed bunt. And no one was home to cover the bag. Osorio was forced to hold on to the ball. Then Wells hit a grounder that Correa couldn't handle. And the strikeout drought is over for Wheeler as he rings up Guy. 4th strikeout of the day for the St. Francis lefty. And Milpitas 2/3 of the way done here in the 5th. Then Wells hit one hard to Correa, who couldn't handle it at first base. And coming home to score on the error was Mr. Landa. Now Mr. Landa stands in again. He's walked and singled today. Should say he was hit by a pitch and singled. Stares at a 1-0 count from Wheeler. He was hit on the left arm by a fastball from Wheeler earlier in the first inning, and then hurt something going to first. He hits this one a long way to center, but Watt is there to corral it, and going in order in their half of the 5th is Milpitas.
Top of the 5th from Milpitas, number 24.
Work progresses on Brother Fisher Field here at St. Francis, the home of the Lancer football, soccer, and track programs. You see at the bottom of your screen that black area. Well, that's the foundation for the new all-weather track being installed. In a couple weeks, they'll start installing the Bermuda grass, but over here on the Kentucky Bluegrass and Rye, Chris Bradford hopes to get something going. His Lancers batting here in the 5th inning, staring at a 1-0 deficit. Jason Luker fouled off the first pitch of the inning from Jakob, and it's 0-1. Luker followed by Clark and Poole. 6, 7, and 8 spots due in the order. Called strike upstairs. It's 0-2 to Luker. Now, just in case you're wondering, should it start to rain and the game would be forced to be over, it's an official game after the end of this inning. Swung on and missed. Munoz holds on, tags out Luker, and there's one away.
Now batting left fielder, number 23, Brian
So
Clark.
3rd strikeout of the day for Jakob. Pass ball put out by Munoz. And Brian Clark, who was the 2nd Munoz strikeout victim, stands in. Munoz went down swinging on a 1-2 pitch to end the 2nd inning for the Lancers. Stares at one upstairs. It's 1-0. Clark coming into play today has struck out 16 times, now 17 with the earlier tally. Strike evens the count at 1-1. He's walked 11 times and been hit by 3 pitches. An on-base percentage of .412. This one is grounded wide of inside of 3rd for a base hit. Clark takes a turn at first. He'll stop there, being satisfied with a single. But that one was wide of the glove of Jeremy Marshall at 3rd. And the Lancers in business here in the bottom of the 5th with a single. Take another look right here.
The shortstop, number 4, Robbie Poole.
Ball gets past the bag and into left field for a base hit. And Robbie Poole comes to the plate. Robbie, who was walked to open up the 3rd inning, and then put out in the first half of 2 Milpitas double plays today, stands in. Marshall with a long throw, down to first, not in time! Robbie Poole with an infield single. Marshall with a tough play, can't believe what happened. But the Lancers have runners at 1st and 2nd and 1 out. Take another look right here. You see the tough play for Marshall as the ball dies on the grass. And a nice job of running out the infield single by Robbie Poole.
Right fielder, number 7, John Higgins.
So John Higgins stands in. John hit into a 6-4-3 double play his last time up. It'll be the last thing the Lancer faithful out here at Higgins Field would want to see today. Runner goes from 3rd. Throw down there is not in time as Marshall drops the ball. So a stolen base for Clark. Poole stays anchored at 1st. It was a pretty good throw from Munoz. Oh, and 1 the count to Higgins. The equalizer 90 feet away, and now he steps away for a word with Chris Bradford. Steve Perez puts an end to that conference.
Let's go, Hagen. Come on, John. Come on, John. Here we go.
But this St. Francis crowd, which has been pretty quiet through 5.5 innings so far, now all of a sudden becoming interested. Chopper to 2nd. This should score the run. It will score the run. And we're tied. So on the 4-3 grounder, Clark comes home to score. Poole goes to 2nd. Take another look right here. A tough ball for Jakob to handle. He got to go most of the way to 1st. No chance for the play at 2nd. And the Lancers there to greet Brian Clark, who scores their 1st run of the day and ties the ball game at a tally each. Andrew Watt watches a fastball fall in for a called strike. It's 0-1. So 2 down now in the 5th, but more importantly, 1 in for the Lancers. 1 more standing at second base in the person of Robbie Poole. Watt waits on the fastball, and it's a wise decision. The count is 1-1. 1 run on 2 hits, no errors from Milpitas. A run on 3 hits and an error for the Lancers. Watt chops this one towards second. Jakob up with it, and that'll retire the side, but not before the Lancers come up with the equalizer on 1 hit. They strand 1, and after 5 full, we're knotted at 1-1. No, we're not at Shea Stadium. We're at Higgins Field at St. Francis. The score is 1-1. The Milpitas Trojans and the St. Francis Lancers as we head to the 6th. Josh Wells, Isaiah Jakob, and Jeremiah Jakob due here in the 6th inning for the Milpitas Trojans.
Number 20, Josh Wells.
I guess that plane was going into Moffett Field or otherwise taking an alternate route into San Jose. It was too low to be going to San Francisco, unless it plans on landing on Brother Fisher Field. And if it does, we'll let you know. First pitch misses high to Wells. Milpitas got their lone tally in the top of the 3rd. St. Francis came back with theirs in the bottom of the 5th. Swung out and missed. The count is 1-1. Ryan Clark scored the equalizer for the Lancers in the last half inning. And the Lancers came up with 2 hits of their 3 so far today. Foul back, and the count is 1-2. But a well-pitched game for both of the hurlers here today. We've played 5 innings plus in an hour and 12 minutes so far, so we're on a good pace to get this thing taken care of. Foul back, the count stays 1-2. The double play has been helpful so far today for Milpitas. Wheeler put Milpitas down in order the last time he faced them. In fact, the last 2 times he faced them, in the 4th and the 5th. Wells a tough customer as the count on him stays at 1-2. Fouled off the last 2 pitches. The left-hander Wheeler sets up shop. And the 1-2. Check swing, did he go? No, he didn't, says the bases umpire Jim Nunn. Pitch out of the strike zone, so Steve Perez went down for the appeal. That's one fouled off, and the count stays 1-2. Make it 2-2. Check swings do count in the count. So Wheeler working hard to get Wells. Swung on and missed. Osorio hangs on, throws down to Correa, and 1 away. Pass ball put out 2-3 after Wheeler rings up his 5th Trojan of the day.
Batting the pitcher, number 21, Isaiah Jakob.
Jakob stands in. This is Isaiah Jakob. He's gone down swinging and grounded to McGuire at 3rd. When he grounded to McGuire at 3rd, it was with a runner on in the 3rd inning after Milpitas had already scored 1, so a key put out for the Lancers today. Pitch in the dirt gets away from Osorio. The count is 1-0. Osorio puts the signal down for Wheeler. Here's the 1-0. Check swing, he didn't go. It's 2-0. On deck, Isaiah's brother Jeremiah. Their dad Phil down in the first base coach's box. Strike on the inside corner. It's 2-1. Ray Castellanos, the coach down at 3rd base for the Trojans. And Bob Sharp, the head coach. Swung on and missed. And the count is 2-2. We have some dispute right here on the count. So now the count is 2-2. The extra pitch from Wheeler. Now the count is 2-2. They even got me confused. Everyone thought it was 1-2, and that should have taken care of Jakob. He hits this one a long way, but Watt will be there. Andrews had a lot of work in center field today, another put out, and there are 2 away. So all the sins will be forgotten right there now that Jakob is retired. But had he got none, I'm sure Chris Bradford would have had a word or two with Steve Perez. You have to be careful, though, when you're a coach or a player having a word with the umpire in these postseason tournaments. If you get the thumb from one game, you get the thumb from all of them. Chris Bradford found that out last year. This one's lofted towards center. Watt is there again. This will take care of Jeremiah Jakob, and Milpitas goes down in order for the 3rd straight time here in the 6th inning. In the middle of 6, we're tied at 1-1. Every broadcaster, inevitably, whether they want to or not, becomes a weatherman. That's how I feel today here at Higgins Field. You look up at those clouds, look pretty scary, but their bark so far worse than their bite. We haven't had any sprinkles, knock wood, through 5.5 innings of play here at Higgins Field. Elliott Wheeler to lead off the bottom half of the 6th for the Lancers, to be followed by John Gall and Brian Osorio. He lost this one to right field, but coming over a long way to make the catch, Brian Soria, 1 away. Wheeler with a nice job of hitting right there, but Soria with good speed turned what could have been, and what often is, an extra base hit into an out. Now John Gall looks at a pitch in the dirt. The count is 1-0. But speaking for myself, I know the channel I've watched the last couple of days hasn't been ESPN, as a lot of people would expect a sportscaster to watch. Hasn't been Sports Channel either. It's been the Weather Channel, and I'm sure, speaking for many of our other KMVT crew members, they could probably say the same thing. So 2-0 to John Gall. I know Lazarus Sargenitas, our producer, who did a great job getting everything set up for today, and has not only watched the Weather Channel, but worked the phones, read the papers, and done everything else to make sure we got this broadcast in today.
Come on, kids, you gotta hang on to those.
So always a 5-star effort from Mr. Sargenitas and crew. A 3-ball, no-strike count to John Gall. John, his last time up after singling, was retired on the front end of a double play. That single opened up the 4th inning for the Lancers. He's also grounded to 3rd today. He broke up the no-hitter, which Isaiah Jakob carried into the 4th inning. Stares at a strike at the knees. The count is 3-1. Gall will be headed up the pike next fall to join the Stanford Cardinal. Will take his act a sunken diamond. He's had an exciting senior year here at St. Francis. And he pops this one up. High pop-up, called for by the first baseman David Guy, in fair territory, makes the catch. There are 2 gone in the Lancers 6th.
Now batting the catcher, number 14, Brian Osorio.
I'll tell you, that ball was hit high enough that if that plane we had on camera a few minutes ago were anywhere in the neighborhood, might have forced an FAA inquiry. Brian Osorio, who is struck out and hit into a double play, stands in. So Osorio, who is yet to get a hit today, came in with a .425 average, has seen it obviously drop. He's now had 34 hits and 82 official at-bats. But as I mentioned earlier, after heading down to Southern California, has really hit the ball well. This time hits it to short. This should do it. Landa up with it over to first. The Lancers go in order, both teams doing so in the 6th. We head to the 7th, knotted at a run each. The crowd at the edge of their seats here at Higgins Field. We head to the 7th inning. This first round CCS game, knotted at a run each. Bob Sharp, not even on his seat in the Milpitas dugout. The head coach completing his 17th season after several years at Air High School, which was closed and merged into Milpitas High. Standing at attention in the dugout. And Anthony Munoz takes the first pitch for a ball. He'll be followed by Brian Soria and Jeremy Marshall. This one is lofted to left center. Over to handle is Clark. There's one away. The outfielder's done a very good job today. Balls have not been hit to them, but nothing is dropped for a hit.
Now batting right fielder.
Andrew Watts had a pretty good workout out there. Brian Soria for Milpitas, and now Brian Clark for St. Francis. Now Brian Soria stands in. He chops this wide of third. And it's 0-1. Soria today is grounded to short and flown out to John Higgins in right. That was to close the fourth inning. Swung on and missed. It's 0-2. But Wheeler, despite flirting with danger in the first and succumbing to a run in the third, has had a pretty good day today. Struck out 5, has hit a batter, surrendered 2 hits, and the unearned run. 1-2 on its way. Upstairs, the count even. And Isaiah Yakup carried a no-hitter into the fourth when John Gall hit a leadoff single. That's fouled back, and the count stays 2-2. But Milpitas out of the tough De Anza division of the Santa Clara Valley League. A lot of our KMVT viewers used to the El Camino division. And if you ever follow British soccer, that's sort of the same premise that the Santa Clara Valley League works on. The better teams, the schools with the larger enrollments usually, like Milpitas, which has the largest enrollment on the loop, and the tougher De Anza. Cutbacker to Wheeler, over to Correa, 2 outs. So 1-3, and Soria taken care of here in the 7th. Now, if you're looking ahead to the Lancer half of this inning, they will send to the plate the 5, 6, and 7 spots. Steve Correa, Jason Luker, and Brian Clark. Clark with the only hit so far today out of those 3. He's scored the only Lancer run. First pitch to Marshall, misses at the knees, it's 1-0. Chopper to short. Poole has plenty of time, throws over to first. Milpitas down in a row 3 times straight now. We head to the bottom of the 7th. The Lancers look to go ahead and go ahead in the tournament.
No runs, no hits, no.
Those gentlemen right there getting ready for what could be the last half inning of the year for the Milpitas Trojans as Steve Correa stands in. 1 run, the Lancers not only win this game, but they go to tomorrow's quarterfinals over at PAL Stadium in today. Now, I say that with an important caveat. As Correa takes a strike and the count evens at 1-1. There will only be quarterfinal games tomorrow if all of the first round games have been gotten into the books. Now, we know this game has been taken care of. Swung on and missed by Correa. The count is 1-2. Actually, in the process of being taken care of, we can't speak for the other 7 games in the Central Coast Section Division I tournament. So if weather is on the side of everyone around the CCS, then there will be a full slate of quarterfinals tomorrow. Pitch upstairs, and the count is 2-2. Teams that win in the quarterfinals advance to the semis, which will be at Municipal Stadium in San Jose, slated for Thursday night. And the championship a week from tomorrow, a 7 p.m. first pitch, also at Muni. Hard hit up the middle, stopped by Landa, throw over to first, in time to get Correa. Steve Correa hit that ball as hard as he's hit anything today. And it looked like it should have been a base hit, but then Paul Landis said, I'll change that. So Correa taken care of 6-3. Now Jason Luker, who's lined out to Jeremiah Jakob at second base and struck out. Swinging, stands in. First pitch misses up at the letters. It's 1-0. Now, if you ask about the Lancers in extra innings, well, the extra sessions so far have been friendly this year in postseason play. Lancers came from behind against Bellarmine, won 8-9 or 9-8 on the road, scoring 3 runs in the top of the 7th to tie things up at 8 after trailing 8-5, and then ending the 4-hour-plus affair in the top of the 10th with a lone run. Swung on, foul back. Steve Perez puts another baseball into play. But that game over on the College Park campus of the oldest private secondary school on the West Coast enabled the Lancers to collect the WCIL title after finishing 3rd on the 7-team loop in the regular season. That's back to the screen on its own volition without the help of Luker. And Jakob will work a 3-1 count to the right-handed batting Luker. That's a ball outside, just missed. So Luker's on. The winning run at first base for the Lancers. Brian Clark stands on deck. Actually stands in the batter's box. And David Watts and his fast legs now over at first base to pinch run for Luker. So make a note of that if you're keeping score at home, and even if you're not, make a note of that. Watts running for Luker at first. So the designated hitter giving way to the designated speedster. David, who's been out of the lineup the last few weeks, hasn't been heard from, has a chance to help his ball club out right here. It's sort of a luxury to have your Chris Bradford, to have somebody like Watts on the bench. Watts has good legs. He was an all CCS football performer the last 2 years. He's stolen 4 of 6 bases this year. So Brian Clark will have the job of moving him over and perhaps bringing him across. Clark lays down the bunt in front of the plate. Jakob has a play to first. He gets Clark. Watts goes to second. The sacrifice strategy pays off for the Lancers. A perfect bunt laid down by Brian Clark. There are now 2 away, and David Watts, you see him standing at second base. He represents the go-ahead and advancing run. You see the bunt laid down right there by Clark. Jakob only with 1 play, and that was to first. I say the advancing run because if Watt crosses the plate, the Lancers go on to the quarterfinals. Robbie Poole, who singled his last time up, stands in. Swings and misses at a pitch in the dirt. The count is 0-1. Robbie has also walked today. But right here, if he can drive in his 15th run of the year, he'll be mobbed by everyone at Higgins Field. Time is called.
Let's go, baby!
And now Poole steps out, steps back in. He'll await the 0-1 delivery. And that misses outside. The count is 1-1. Watts, you see him right there, stalking third base. Poole stares at a 1-1 count. The winning run 180 feet away from home plate. Here's the 1-1 from Jakob. He checks the runner, comes home, it's in the dirt. Watts is going to third. He'll stop there. The winning run is 90 feet away.
Come on, kids, gotta hang on to those.
Jakob throws a wild pitch at the most inopportune time. And going to third base as a result, David Watts. And now out of the dugout comes
Pitcher's on the rock.
the senior Jakob. That's Phil Jakob out to have a word with his son. Just saying, stay calm out there. There are 2 down in the inning. A 2-1 count to Poole. Poole stepped over to have a word with Lou Lucas over in front of the Lancer dugout.
Let's go, Robbie, babe.
David Watts will step off of third base when time is put back in play. A base hit and the Lancers advance. A ground ball, we go to extra innings. Pitch upstairs, the count goes to 3-1 to Poole. On deck is John Hagens in the number 9 spot. He's 0 for 2 today. Chris Bradford could opt to lift him for a pinch hitter. Here's the 3-1. Inside, a called strike, the count gets loaded. A full count to Robbie Poole, 2 outs, the winning run at third base. A 1-1 ball game. The Lancers, the defending CCS champions, looking to win in front of the home crowd. Milpitas looking to stay alive. This is comebacker towards the mound. Landa will have to throw, hurry his throw to first. It's not there in time. Watts scores and the Lancers win. I can't believe what I just saw. David Watts takes a victory lap. Milpitas goes down in defeat. The St. Francis Lancers 1 step closer to defending their 1995 CCS crown. They come up with 2 runs on 4 hits. They commit 1 error. Milpitas with 1 run on 2 hits. They commit no errors. The Lancers leave 3 on the base paths. The same total for Milpitas. Elliott Wheeler picks up the win, his 6th of the season against 2 losses. And St. Francis in the driver's seat here in the 7th inning. We'll reconstruct the 7th for you very quickly. The inning started out when Steve Correa had a harmless ground ball to shortstop, which Landa threw over to first and retired the 6'6" sophomore. Then Jason Luker walked. He was lifted for the pinch runner, David Watts. Brian Clark then sacrificed Watts to second. Then when Robbie Poole came to the plate, Isaiah Jakob dealt a wild pitch into the dirt, which enabled Watts to go to third, and then the speedster came home on the infield bloop single. So Robbie Poole with the game-winning RBI, David Watts with the game-winning run. That'll do it for our ball game today. Big thanks to all of our KMVT crew members, led by producer and director Lazarus Sargenides. Special thanks to the St. Francis Athletic Department, the Milpitas Athletic Department. For everyone on our KMVT crew, thanks for joining us. This is George Devine speaking, wishing you a very pleasant good afternoon from Higgins Field on the St. Francis campus in Mountain View.